So I want you to be thinking and praying about these two questions as I preach or talk. What do you believe is important to creating an extraordinary faith community? What do you believe is important to creating an extraordinary faith community? And or, what would an extraordinary faith community look like? What would that look like if we were a faith community where people came in here, they were just wowed, which I think many people are wowed when they come in here. So what do you believe is important to creating an extraordinary faith community? And what would that faith community look like? So we know that Jesus was one who really taught us a lot about community as he traveled the countryside with his vagabond, ragtag bunch of followers. Very diverse believers, people that were rough and raw, people that were cultured, people that were poor, people that were uneducated, people that were educated. He always went to towns and created a space for those that were on the outskirts of society to come and break bread with them and to share time as he shared with them God's love. And I think that was something, an extraordinary gift that he had. We know the early church would gather and they would share everything in common, is what it said, everything in common. They would meet together in people's homes, they would have a meal, and sing Kumbaya, even though the song wasn't written in, but and we talk about that, gathering together as a faith community and singing Kumbaya and everybody loving one another. And we love the idea of community, that everyone is engaged and involved and connected. But how many of our people show up longing for someone to reach out to them, to shake their hand, or to have more than a 2-second conversation? How are you? Great. Okay, moving on. There's some days when I think if I really told people how I felt, they'd run. They say, ooh, I don't know if I can deal with that. But, you know, everything that's going on in your life, the challenges you're currently facing. And not that we come in here and whine and moan and groan, but sometimes it's nice to be able to say to something, you know, I'm going through this challenge and I really could use your prayer for this. I believe that church should become a place where people feel safe and comfortable and secure and ready to share life with others. But if no one ever initiates a conversation, how much of a community do we really have? Should it always be the outsiders or the newcomer's job to try and connect? And I think that's hard for many people, especially if you're one of those introverts, people that aren't very outgoing. They come and they sit quietly on the sidelines. Or should the insiders be more intentional about looking beyond their own little cliques?
Amen. Oh, what an idea.
We're comfortable being with our own little group of people that we know and love. But are we really comfortable reaching out to someone we don't know and saying, join us for lunch, or hi, my name is such and such. I noticed you've been coming for a few weeks. How are you? People are searching for a place where they are accepted just as they are and encouraged to become all that they can be. They want to become part of a community that helps connect them to God and other people through bonds of love. What a concept. Connect them to God and other people through bonds of love. And I believe there's a few certain things that I see are important to creating an authentic and extraordinary faith community. The first one is forgiveness. To live out the gospel, to make it visible daily, forgiveness must be at the center of the company's or the organization's or the church's DNA. Everybody knows what DNA is. Since, what was his name? O.J. Simpson. DNA, that part which makes us who we are. You can send out tests now and find out what your DNA is all about, what your heritage is, and things like that. I keep thinking I want to do that. But forgiveness must be at the center of who we are. This means that leaders with the most authority must regularly admit their failings, repent, and seek forgiveness. They must also be quick to dispense grace and offer forgiveness. Too often we set our leadership up as someone who never fails. They're just on this pedestal where they're perfect. But not everyone is perfect. No one is perfect, really. We all have our shortcomings.
Amen.
Even the best of us fail at times and perhaps say things or do things that we don't intentionally need to do. I don't think anybody in this room here intentionally sets out to hurt anybody. I don't intentionally ever set out to hurt anybody. But we must be willing to admit when we're wrong.
Amen.
And say, I'm sorry, I didn't handle that as well as I should have. I screwed up. We must be willing to accept that and forgive that person. You know, sometimes I hear people, they'll talk about something that happened 5 years ago, and they're still holding on to that. One thing you can say, I said this to my grandchildren and my daughter. Whatever I have done in the past to screw you up, I apologize. I did the best that I could bringing you up. And I always loved you, and I always had your best intention in mind. But I'm sure I made mistakes. Looking back, it's always so easy to look back. But what is it, that quarterback, Monday morning quarterback, when you look at the play, oh, I should have done this. And I look back on things that I should have done as a pastor. Oh, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd gone in this direction. I didn't handle that so well, for whatever reason. Forgiveness is very important, though, if we want to live in a community. And someone once said that you have to forgive every day when you first get up in the morning. Just as we ask God to forgive us when we come and receive communion, we must be willing to forgive others and not hold on to that anger, that resentment.
Amen.
So I'm going to ask us just to take a few moments of silence, because I love silence, to remember a time when you were given forgiveness by somebody. Perhaps you said something that hurt somebody, or you let somebody down. And think about, how did that change your relationship when you were able to receive someone's forgiveness? Or perhaps you granted somebody forgiveness that harmed you. So just take a minute and reflect on that. And everybody, let's just say, for whatever I did, and even for whatever I may do, I ask forgiveness. For whatever I did, and for whatever I may do, I ask forgiveness. The second thing that I think is important is celebration. I think we should celebrate every Sunday morning when we come in here to worship. That it should be an exciting time in which we gather together and we sing our songs and we pray our prayers and we're in community with each other.
Amen.
Celebration means to lift up also the gifts of the people with whom we live. To lift them up and say, hey brother, hey sister, I see something really beautiful in you and I want to lift it up.
All right.
I want to celebrate it, and I want you to recognize how gifted you are and your goodness. Perhaps you have a gift of hospitality or the gift of welcome. Perhaps you have the gift of gentleness or humor. I want you to recognize it. I think sometimes we forget to affirm the gifts in people, and so people don't step up or step out. And everybody who helped yesterday with the yard work, can you rise up just for a minute? Let's give them a round of applause. Maureen is out here. Maureen is a very good taskmaster. She's really good at kind of keeping people on task and what needs to take place, and the yard really looks great, so thank you all so much for that. I know you were here quite a while working on that. So celebrating the gifts of the people of God and giving people space to try them. And that means when somebody comes up and is new at perhaps singing special music or perhaps serving communion or acolyting, that we don't judge them to, oh, did you hear she was off key? Or, oh, his prayer fell flat on me with communion. God didn't come down and zap me. Instead of saying they're stepping out in faith, and I'm going to pray that they feel comfortable. Because as we get more comfortable in our ministry, we get better at it.
Amen.
We don't just, the first time I walked up to the pulpit, I was a mess. I think I said maybe 3 sentences and sat down. And I was saying, oh God, thank God that's over. When we look at the gifts in people, we should think of God's unconditional love for us and how God has gifted each one of us in a very special way. The third thing that I think is important is that, are you getting some replies, Neil? Oh, okay. And I'll finish quickly because I want to hear from you all mostly. To know and pray over the needs of others. I think that is so important. Do you pray for the people in your church?
Amen.
Do you know what to pray for? Do you take home a prayer list?
Amen.
Somebody, I don't think that person is here today. I don't see them, but I must have shared in my one of my weekly emails that are not so weekly emails, they're now monthly. But I shared an email, kind of what I've been going through since I have been sick and all. And this person just left a nice card on my desk. And I thought they must have really read in between the lines, or maybe I was more open than I thought I was, but they must have read between the lines and said, I'm praying for you during this time.
Amen.
And I was really touched by that. We have a prayer list, but have you ever thought about maybe the person who's sitting next to you to just lean over and say, is there anything I can pray about for you for this week coming up? Will you be my prayer partner in this, or a certain situation coming up? Will you be my prayer partner in this certain situation and pray morning and night for me? I have to keep a list now, as my age continues. I have to keep a written list, and I look back sometimes over those lists or books that I have, and I see lives that have been changed, not because I prayed for them, but I think because collectively when we pray for one another,
Hallelujah.
things happen, miracles happen, and that has been proven. People that are prayed for often heal faster than those that are not prayed for. And even telling people, hey, I need prayer. I asked somebody this morning to please pray for me and my family. I said, will you please lift this up in prayer for me? Be willing to admit that you need prayer this time. So Neil, let's hear from you what people are saying.
Okay.
And if you could make sure I get a copy of that, you can forward it, or,
Okay. So, do you want to reiterate what the questions were?
yes.
Just because I think you had two different ones.
Hold on.
It's a little confusing.
What do you believe is important to creating an extraordinary faith community? And what would that extraordinary faith community look like?
Okay, so the first one, I'm going to kind of interpret it. But it's, look in the mirror, and that's the person that making extraordinary.
Louder.
Look in the mirror, and that would be the person that would make an extraordinary community. Well, this kind of trying to hold papers and phone, it's kind of challenging. Okay, let's see, next one. Doing work together that makes a positive difference in people's lives and making a positive impact on the community, especially for the outcast people who have big needs. An extraordinary faith community is diverse, open-minded, and open-hearted, where gossip and divisions are put aside so people can come together and do the work of God.
Hallelujah.
Repeat that one.
Need a flag.
We would be a resource center for all in our community. We would be reaching out and connecting with each other, helping each other other mentally, emotionally, and help fulfill basic needs.
Amen.
For everyone to be more involved in helping pastor each and every Sunday. A community that sees through the eyes, hands, and that heal, walk in the path of and love with the heart of Jesus, and we would look like ourselves. To be seen and heard and known that you matter, and to turn to another and do the same, leaving no one behind, because God is not willing that even one should be left behind.
Amen.
Live in hope for a better tomorrow. God has been good to me. To be able to forgive those whom have hurt you in the past.
Amen.
Togetherness. And then I'll just add on, I think what makes a great community is sharing, patience, and determination.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
It says here, Hugs needs a car. We gotta change that to say Hugs says, thank you, God, for the car.
Hallelujah.
Someone told me this week that this 1 hour on Sunday morning was the best hour of their week. And I think that there's many of us in this room that perhaps this 1 hour on Sunday morning is the best hour of our week.
Oh, amen. Without a doubt.
You know, many of us, especially people that are single or live alone, This is a time when we can come and be connected with community, and when we don't feel like an outsider the rest of the week. So let us remember that. I'm going to close this in prayer, and then we're going to do the name of another water. So if you'll pray with me, please. May you know that you have a place in this world, and may the Spirit of the living God go before you to show you the way, go above you to watch over you, go behind you to push you into places you may not want to go yourself, go beneath you to uphold and uplift you, go beside you to be your strong and constant companion, and dwell within you to remind you that you are surely not alone, and that you are loved, loved beyond your wildest imagination. And may the fire of God's blessings burn brightly upon you and within you, now and always. Amen.